Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I welcome you all to this charming and memorable evening. To start our formal session, I request Professor Dr. Karamat Ali to preside the function. I request him to come to the stage. I would request the chief guest of the evening, Dr. Aslam Syed, Director, National Institute of Historical and Cultural Research, to come to the stage and take his seat. As you all know, that we are celebrating Pakistan's Golden Jubilee under the umbrella of ZEF, Zakariyan Economist Forum, an alumni body of the Economics Department, which was established in 1993 by the student of the time under the auspices of the Economics Department. Its sole purpose is to promote an understanding and feelings of goodwill between the past and present students of the Economics Department. Before we commence the formal session, I would request Muhammad Sadiq Minhas to come to the stage and recite few verses of Quran. Muhammad Sadiq Minhas.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. पनाह मांगता हूँ मैं अल्लाह ताला की शैतान मरदूद से। शुरू करता हूँ अल्लाह ताला के नाम से जो बड़ा मेहरबान और निहायत रहम वाला है। पढ़ अपने रब के नाम से जिसने तुझे पैदा किया। इंसान को जमे हुए खून से पैदा किया। पढ़ कि तेरा रब बड़ी इज्जत वाला है जिसने इंसान को कलम के ज़रिए सिखाया और इंसान को वो कुछ सिखाया जो वो नहीं जानता था। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम।
To highlight the activities of ZEF during the last year, I request Mr. Umar Barki to come to the stage. Mr. Umar Barki.
Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Aslam Syed, respectable teacher, Mr. Dr. Karamat Ali, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. As we all know, Pakistan is one of the several developing countries of the world which is facing enormous socio-economic problems. Our literacy rate is one of the lowest in the world. In these circumstances, Zakariyan Economist Forum, ZEF, an alumni student body of the Economics Department, has taken the initiative to provide a forum for imparting knowledge, especially in the field of economics. In this respect, we have recently published a magazine, the Zakariyan Economist, for creating awareness among the masses about our economic problems. We have invited several economists to express their views about current policy issues. In past year, ZEF has facilitated students in their academic as well as extracurricular activities. It has also provided students necessary books and other reading materials. Perhaps the most significant contribution of ZEF is in providing financial assistance to the needy students. This year alone, we have provided a financial assistance of rupees 22,000. In the years ahead, we plan to compile a directory of ex-students. Efforts have been made to install an internet connection in the economics departments. The internet connection, once installed, will be operated and maintained by the department. Indeed, we do realize that whatever efforts we are doing and intend to do is drastically falling short of the growing demands of the students. We need much more financials to keep up our services. In view of this, I would like to make my very humble request to spare resources, however small they may be, for such valuable activities of this organization. In the end, I thank the worthy chief guest, participant, organizers, and the students of the economics department. Thank you.
I request Professor Dr. Karamat Ali to highlight thoughts provoking realities about economic performance of Pakistan over the past 50 years. Professor Dr. Karamat Ali.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Worthy Dr. Aslam Syed, Director, Institute of Historical and Cultural Research, Dr. Shahriwar Malik Saab, Dr. Asad Saab, Mr. Humboldt University, Chief Organizer of Zakariyan Economist Forum, dear students, the first thing I would like to point out is that I was thinking of that Dr. Aslam Syed is going to deliver a lecture, and according to the decorum, he should have been the first one to be invited to deliver his lecture. Somehow I don't know why it has been reverted, because I thought that you all must be very keen and anxious to listen to him. You listen to me every day, and probably you must be tired of listening to me. But it is a strange change that economists in 50s never thought of inviting a Director Institute of Historical and Cultural Research to come and address economists. If I go back and recall that in 50s, it never happened. That we as an economist, we thought that economics is a queen of social sciences, and naturally boosting ourselves, we never thought that a person from sociology, anthropology, or history can come and address economists. First of all, I would like to congratulate Mr. Umar Barki and also the organizer of this forum, that probably what other people have not realized as yet, because still in Pakistan, economists, they still believe that economics is a domain of economists only. Whereas I think economics is more concerned with what I can call as social, cultural, and even the base of economics is basically the psychology. It deals with the psychology of human beings, whether you are talking of consumer, choices of consumer as an individual, whether you are talking of organization, firms, how they make decisions and the choices. And probably, if I'm not wrong, I think that for the last 2 years, the people who have been getting Nobel Prizes, they have been working more in the field of, which is related more to what we call organizational behavior, related with the psychologies of organizations, their behavior and things like that. Anyhow, I'm sorry that I'm not going according to your agenda, because it has been announced that I'm going to talk about Pakistan and 50 years of Pakistan. I'm going to talk about the next 50 years, not the last 50 years. It is too much to talk of the past every time, what has happened for the last 50 years. Naturally, most of you know what has happened. And I'm sorry to say, even if history has been distorted, but still, there is history, and you all can go and read books and come out with some subjective or objective conclusions to your liking. Two variables or two factors which are going to determine what is going to happen in Pakistan or in third world countries in the next 50 years, or in the world at large, whether developed or developing, whether poor or rich, are two factors. One, what we call as economic globalization, that we have multinational corporations, and these multinational corporations, they want to sell their commodities anywhere in the world. The phenomena which is called as economic globalization. Naturally, multinational corporations, they believe in one word, a utopia of philosophers and people who believed that one day there will be one world, a world in which there will be no distinction for creed, for religion, for language, for race, or for anything. So naturally, multinational corporations, they don't believe in any of these things. They sell their commodities anywhere in the world, whether you belong to one region or the other, you speak English or French or Urdu or Punjabi, you are Muslim or Christian or Jew or whatever, whatever your color, you are white or black, they don't care about it. So economic globalization is a phenomenon, multinational corporations, and I am pointing out this because most of the time people come up and say that IMF is the most powerful institution, World Bank is the most powerful institution, or even people believe that the power balance now is with USA, talking of political power, things like that. But I still believe that economic power is the base of all other political, social, economic, all other powers. So, and basically, multinational corporations are holding that power. Some of multinational corporations, their sales per annum is greater than the GNP of many developing countries. Some of them, they sell their products to the amount which is greater than combining the GNP of some developing countries. Naturally, they have an immense influence, and they are going to, in the next 20 years, 30 years, naturally they are going to expand and control the world. The second variable which is going to affect the society, what type of society is going to emerge, is basically the variable of information technologies revolution. So the information revolution which has taken place is going to mold the society. So we are going to have a society which is not what we are thinking of and what you are thinking of, that if we want to develop, then in next 20 years we should become the industrialized country. Basically, the societies which are going to emerge are going to be called as either the information society or the society which may be called as the network society. And in this new network society, there is going to be many changes. There are going to be many readjustments. There are going to be many problems. It is not, next 20 years are not going to be very smooth years, neither for the developing countries nor for the developed world, neither for the poor countries nor for the rich countries, neither for the poor section of the people within the countries nor for the rich section of the population within the countries. The world, which is facing an immense change over a period of time, and a new type of society which is emerging, the basic role is going to be played is by the people with education and training. They are going to be the basic moving forces. They are going to be the people who are going to handle these societies. This is the world in which, naturally, as I said many times, that two E's are going to have a backup. And one E is an E of efficiency, that many those who will believe in free market economy, globalization of economy, and naturally information technologies revolution, they are placing a heavy emphasis on what we call as efficiency. And that is what you can see is the basic phenomena which we are looking while we are talking of privatization in Pakistan. So in Pakistan also, the basic issue or the basic thesis on which we are building the whole thing is that of an efficiency, that being more productive, being more efficient, being more competitive, being more able to do things, and being progressing in a free market, in a free world, in a competitive world. But I believe, and I think those who will survive another 20 years will realize this probably at the end of 20 years, that there is a balance. Societies are a society, or the world as a whole is going to survive if we are going to have a balance, and that balance is a balance between equity and efficiency. Equity does not mean equality. Equity means social justice. We have to care about those who have been deprived. We have to talk about the people who are poverty-stricken, who do not have health facilities, those who cannot afford sending their children to schools, those who do not have sanitation, and those who lack nutrition. So we have to worry about this section of the population, whether we talk of an economy within or we talk of the economy as a whole. Whether we talk of globalization or we talk of developing a country, whether as naturally, as I said, that everyone believes that efficiency is going to steer us out of all the problems. But I believe that efficiency at the cost of equity will lead to more social problems and more economic problems. Then we will be able to solve them through efficiency. So we have to keep the balance, and the balance is that we cannot talk of efficiency only at the cost of equity. And I think the basic part, because somehow in Pakistan, we are just going back. We are talking of Reagano economics. We are fascinated with Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. Well, how they have been able to steer those economies out of their problems. Well, that is true that efficiency, privatization, free market economy are the variables and the factors they were able to take those economies out of their problems. And naturally, that type of experiment has been successful in some of the economy, in some of the developing countries. But naturally, these type of experiences, if I have to recount, I can give you an example that, well, this structural adjustment program was successful in this country, was not successful in this country. Created many problems for this. Well, some of those things were able to solve some of the problems. But in a larger context, taking the issues at the world at large, and in third world countries, and in developing countries in particular, and in Pakistan in particular, I still believe that we should not lose the balance. And the balance is a balance between efficiency and equity. Thank you very much.
Now I request the Chief Guest, Dr. Aslam Syed, Director, National Institute of Historical and Cultural Research, to come to deliver the lecture of the evening. Dr. Aslam Syed.
Professor Prema, organizers of this forum, particularly Mr. Umar Barki and Sayyid Asrar Haider, I would like to thank you for inviting me. Inviting a historian to address the economists. Inviting someone who is constantly engaged in what happened in the past, rather than having any vision as to what's going to happen in future. But since Professor Kramatali pointed out that this is for the first time, let me justify why I am here. I could have simply requested these young people that, invite an economist. I have two reasons to come here. One, that my conception of history is not conventional as it is usually understood. I believe all our institutions, and when I say all, I include political, cultural, social, even religious. This infrastructure is influenced by our economic relations and by means of production and by our relationship with those means of production. So in that sense, I see only one factor that determines the contours of history, and that is economics. You could call it in Marxist terms as materialistic conception of history or historical determinism or whatever, but it's fact that throughout history, man has been known if as a person who would be weak or as a person who would be strong, always through how much power he had. And power always meant how many natural resources, how much manufactured goods would he be in a position to deliver to the world at large. My second reason for coming here is that when Pakistan was being demanded, nobody talked about that much about Islam or religion being in danger as we did in the post-1947 period. Then it was a simple question of economics. How many jobs are available? How many jobs are being occupied by the Muslims? How many industries are in the control of the Hindus? How much money is controlled by them and how much money is controlled by the Muslims? Shaukat Hayat recalls an incident that once as a young student I went to see Quaid-i-Azam. And I said, your Pakistan doesn't make any sense to me. So he said, this meeting apparently took place in Delhi. So Quaid-i-Azam asked him that, go downstairs, stand on this cross road and ask any person who comes, what is your religion and what is your profession? If by the evening you find that 90% of sweepers, cobblers, carpenters are Muslims and majority of high officials are Hindus, you will get the answer to my Pakistan question. After 1947, those people who did not want the common man of Pakistan who had fought for this country to share that wealth, to share the blessings of freedom with those few who had vested interest in the country, they were given these lessons of pious and divine mission of Pakistan coming into existence. That Pakistan came into existence for the glory of Islam. Has any religion ever been accorded glory when its followers are miserable? It has never happened. No matter how rich, how profound a philosophy or religion is, it will always be judged by those, by the standard of those, by the ideas of those who follow it. If Muslims are prominent, if they are respectable and honorable, you will hardly need any preaching about the value of your religion. If you are backward, if you are miserable, no matter how high ideals your religion preaches, nobody is going to listen to you. This was the second justification of mine accepting this invitation, that I would talk to this young generation who tomorrow is going to lead this country, that neither we have understood history properly in this country, nor we have understood the causes or the major factors that had resulted in the creation of Pakistan. And I must point out that standing on this soil of mystics and Sufis, very prominent Sufis of Multan, I must pay tribute to these people who taught this art of understanding human relations and religion on these basic lines. There is an incident about Baba Farid of Pakpatan. No, this is always in the case of Sufis that they would always have some sort of argument, some point to settle with the theologians, with the ulama or the mullah, as the term is understood. It was about the principles of Islam. So the religious scholar said, I am amazed at your knowledge. There are only 5 principles of Islam. And they are well known and there is hardly any debate about that. This Sufi says, no, there are 6. And the 6th one is the most important that you are forgetting. He said, may I know what is the 6th one? He said, yes, it is roti. He said, no, this is blasphemy. This is creating some, you are doing something, innovations in religion, and I will not allow it. After a while, this religious scholars goes to pilgrimage. We're talking about 15th century, 16th century, 15th century actually. This was the time of Ghiyasuddin Balban. On his way back from Mecca, his ship was wrecked and he found himself in a desert with no human settlement, no food, no water, nothing. One day passed, another day passed, and on the third day, when he could have done anything to have a morsel of bread or a sip of water, he suddenly sees a man with a tray of food walking towards him. He approaches him, he said, "Are you a Muslim?" He said, "Yes, Alhamdulillah, I am a Muslim." He said, "Look, I am a very famous man in my area. I have been to pilgrimage 30 times. I have never missed my prayers. I have fasted everything. But this is what has happened with me, and I am hungry and I need to eat something." He said, "Wonderful, I have food. But you see, this is my business. I do not give it free. I sell it, and from that price, that income, I run my family affairs." He said, "But I have no money to pay." He said, "Well, you are such a well-known person, maybe you could give me something else, if not money." He said, "For example, what?" He said, "Well, how about all your prayers that you have sold so far? If you write it down that you give me all those prayers that you have said, I'll be very happy to feed you." At first the mullah thought that, this is not a good bargain, but then he said, "What the hell? The idea is to survive at this stage." So on a piece of paper he wrote that in lieu of one meal, I am giving whatever piety or blessing I have received for these prayers of my life to this person. In 5 meals, that person transferred every nice deed, pious deed in quote, that he had done in his life, just for 5 meals. And as happens in such stories, after this episode, the last one, when he had nothing else to sell for a meal, he catches another ship and comes back to the same city where this controversy initiated in the beginning. So when Baba Freed knows that he is back from pilgrimage, he calls for him that, we had a discussion before you left for pilgrimage, and I had requested you to talk to some scholars there in Mecca and Medina, and we should settle that. So Mullah said, "No, you have still not changed. There are only 5 principles of Islam, and why are you saying these things again?" He said, "But you see, I have now a written proof from a very well-known scholar that this is actually the most important principle of our religion." So he said, "I want to see that." So the legend says that when he opened the book, he had the same piece of writing with his own signature that I have sold everything for 5 meals. This could be just a fictitious story. But just imagine if you were placed in a position like that, what would you do? Because even the Quran says, all those things that are forbidden in Islam, if your life is endangered, if you have to save your life, those are permitted. This is the importance of economy, of materialism, which every morning and every evening we hear that this is bad. Muslims do not care about materialism. Muslims do not care about these things. Then I ask these scholars that why do we pray 5 times a day? Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatam. First we talk about the world. Give me a better world. Akhirat comes afterwards. And this important lesson we have ignored throughout our existence. With the result that even for small things, very small things, road building, construction of an office building, restructuring of our economy, we need advice and expertise of either World Bank or International Monetary Fund. You see, Professor Kramer talked about the vision of the future. Future is shaped by the present, which in turn has been shaped by the past. Economics was never less important in the past. It's only that we historians give them different labels. That was the age of Cold War. This is the age of one superpower. The next stage would be the age of global economy. Just to differentiate between the various emphases, the various ideas and themes that are generated in those periods of history. For that convenience, we put these labels on various episodes of history. Economy was not less important during the Cold War. It was not of any lesser importance even during the Crusades, when Muslims and Christians were at wars with one another. Even then, the essential question was who controls the trade and who controls the major areas where economic goods are produced and who distributes them. Even then, this was the question. Now, it's not different. Its dimensions have changed. And I have yet to know any civilization, any country or any nation that has risen to the heights of glory or prominence on a weak platform of economy. It has never happened. Look at your own experience when you were occupied by a colonial power coming from so far away with a handful of people, with better economy, with better system to organize their economy, to manage their things. They came and they occupied one of the largest areas of settled people in human history, ever coming under a tiny country like England before that period. There was no superiority in character of those people. There was no superiority in some divine mission that they have been endowed with some divine plan, go and occupy the subcontinent. No. It was pure and simple question of maximum utilization of the resources that they had. First to satisfy their needs and then to sell it to the people to enhance their standard of living. You must have experienced this many times in your day-to-day life. How immediately we recognize a person who comes from a village to study in the city. He is taunted, he or she, and given different names. What is so different? The difference is economic culture. You think he or she is less civilized than the urban folks. They could be the members of the same family, separated, one part living in urban areas, the other part in rural areas. So never underestimate the impact of economy on your value system, on your politics, on your culture, and above all, on your status and place in world history. In this era in which we are facing, that world is becoming like a global village. Because it's very easy. With just one switch, you could turn to Yugoslavia, to the United States, to Britain, France, anywhere in the world, and you could compare what sort of conveniences and comforts of life you have. I won't be very long, but let me also give you, because historians are not bereft of any futuristic view either. When we talk about this will happen in Pakistan, inshallah we will do this. What do? We ignore two things at that time. One, we ignore the present. Present is actually the pedestal from where we are making these claims. And second, the past. Maybe history doesn't have so much fascination for you, but to me it has taught one lesson. That men will never be judged, never, in what they believed in, but by what they did. You could say anything. You believe in those high ideals of a certain philosophy, of some divine sanctions, unless it is manifested through your activities, it is neither relevant to history nor to your contribution or achievement in the scheme of this world the way it has been designed. Even he had to say out loud kun before this world came into existence. Who doesn't need to say these things? So your claim that inshallah we will be this, we will be that, I do not doubt, because at your age, you are the only hope that we have. Because you are full of energy and you need some direction where this energy could be channeled, where it could be harnessed for benefit of not only your generation but the next generations also. But I am a little bit of realist, because history has taught me one thing, that man should not be judged on the basis of the religion, nor it should be judged on the basis of the scientific discoveries that he or she have done, but on the basis of how much damage he or she has done to its own people and to humanity at large, and how much benefits have been accrued by him or her to mankind in general. So, no matter at what stage in life you are, always keep in mind that past is the mirror. It is actually a judgment, a grading of your exam paper, that this is what you set out to do, this is what you have done so far. This is where you are standing, these are your tools. And being an economist, then you judge whether in 20 years or 20 years we will be where we are claiming that we should be. And for two reasons I say that. One, let me quote Karl Marx, who has been banished from academic life, at least if not for a long time, in Pakistan for a long time, from the world at least for the last 6-7 years. He says that all history is, this is the opening sentence of his Communist Manifesto, that all history is history of class struggle. It's a conflict between those who are haves and those who are have-nots. Maybe it is too far-fetched now particularly to apply it to all mankind. But I tell you, and you don't have to go very far to witness this, those who possess something, they would like to retain it at least as much as they have. If they would try to get more, but if they cannot, it will be very difficult to convince them to share some of those things that they possess with someone else who is less fortunate. Those who are less fortunate, they would definitely try to get what they don't have. Now, you can witness this in your own society. Why can't we apply the same formula at global level? Those nations who know if they would sell 10 F-16s, 100 tanks, 2 submarines, the amount that they will receive would be equal to what that country produces in 1 year. Why should they feel that there should be peace and harmony in that area? Because then we will stop buying those weapons from them. We export cotton, we export leather, we export handicrafts, little things which sell for $1 or $5. And when all this is accumulated, we spend $10 million in buying a submarine. And it takes only 2 minutes to sink that thing on the depth of the ocean without any gains. So those who are at the helm of the affair in the world, they would, in spite of whatever they say that this is a world of peace and we need this and we need that, they would make sure that we keep on buying goods from them for which we have to pay at least 100 times more than the things that they buy from us. They are going to make it free, without any restrictions, the flow of goods into consumer societies like us. At the same time, they are going to make sure that your industrial growth does not attain the proportion of any threatening position like they are doing to China now. Chinese are not violent people. Why are Americans after them? Simply because they have really invaded their markets. If you look at the, again, less fortunate people in the United States, those who buy from Montgomery Ward, from Woolworth, from these small chain stores, their stores are filled with Chinese goods. And that's what threatens the American industrialists. Similarly, all these other countries who have now an edge in industrial growth and in exporting these things, they would like to see that, yes, maybe there is not a major conflict which could envelop the Western countries also, but their arms and ammunition, they keep selling it. Machinery, even if they don't sell arms and ammunition, PIA needs 10 planes. That should be enough to wipe out our entire treasury, whatever we have earned, if at all we have earned anything in foreign exchange. So we must keep that in mind. Secondly, the loans that we have received. And this is the last point I would like to make. Now, Churchill once said that beggars cannot be choosers. If we have to take loans, if we have to invite at each step that we call caretakers, if the agenda of caretakers is agenda of IMF and World Bank, so that the next elected government starts with its hands tied behind its back, with sanctions imposed, with next installment due, whether you have democracy or dictatorship, it doesn't really matter then. The important thing is to understand that all these loans, they were accumulated over a period of time. When the first contract between Pakistan and the United States was done, at that time we had someone, again from the World Bank, who was advisor to Ayub Khan, Mr. Shoaib. A correspondent from the Pakistan Times asked him that, who is going to pay these loans? We have to pay them back. He said, that's not my headache. Let the future generations think about it. My job was to get you these loans, which I have done. Someone has to pay those loans. So keeping in view your loan situation, your industrial growth and economic base, I would suggest that be realistic whenever you have a vision of your future. Because realism may be a defeatist attitude for youthful idealists like you. But ultimately, if you jump to any idealism standing on the platform of being realist, that idealism you could achieve without any problem. I thank you again for being so patient and for inviting me to this wonderful evening. And I thank everybody who has made this beautiful function possible. I wish we could take some of the organizers to Islamabad, because we don't have such exuberance and such colorful gathering even on occasions which demand this. Thank you very much.
I again invite Professor Dr. Karamat Ali. He wants to thank two chief guests. Please, Dr. Karamat Ali.
I just want to say one word, and I'm thankful to Dr. Aslam Syed because I was not saying this, that our historical interpretation and what we have in mind about historians, naturally he has given us a view of what we call as a materialistic interpretation of history. And I'm thankful to him particularly. And I want to congratulate the organizers particularly because I think this is the time that we should realize that economy is the base of what we call all other things, culture and political institutions or religious institutions or things like that. But as a materialistic interpretation of history, but I think that economists must realize that how history is going to play the most important role in shaping the future. And I am really thankful to Dasa for coming here and telling our students, those who have already, those who are working somewhere and those who are going to get through, to realize that this is not the history. Dr. Saab's point of view of history is not that which we listen every day. So listening to Dr. Aslam Syed, कुछ ऐसे था जैसे कि कोई ताज़ा हवा का झोंका जो है वो आ रहा हो.
Mr. Umar Barki to come to the stage and thank to all guests and the participants in the function. Mr. Umar Barki.
Respectable